I am Penelope, author of epic fantasy and paranormal romance, and welcome to my imaginary friends, a look behind the scenes of an author mapping the worlds in my head and making them a reality. Hello friends, today is Sunday, October 4th, 2020, and this is episode 88 of My Imaginary Friends. I'm Leslie. So this week's best thing is a television show that I have been binge watching. It's Leverage. It's kind of an older show. I think it started in 2008 or 2009, and I missed it when it came out. That was around the time, no, that was a little bit earlier, but somewhere around then I stopped watching a lot of television because I was starting to focus on the writing more. But anyway, I read somewhere as I was researching my new book that Leverage was a heist show, which I don't think I realized exactly what it was. And I was like, oh, well, let me check it out. And so I watched the first episode and I was like, this show is kind of silly and ridiculous and wonderful, and I love it. It is really comforting because it's light, so it's about a team of criminals who sort of do heists and steal from bad guys to help good people. They're kind of Robin Hood figures, and they're using all of their skills for good. And I'm only like halfway through the first season, but it's just really comforting for me. I don't know why. This show is just lovely, and it's silly. There was an episode that I was watching when my husband was there, and they had to fake a brain tumor. So someone was getting either an MRI or a CAT scan, one of those things where you go in the machine. And so they were trying to figure out how to fake that this person had a brain tumor. And my husband was like, that's insane. That's not how anything works. And I'm like, basically talking about the plan they came up with. And I was like, well, it's not supposed to be reality. Everything is very heightened on the show. Anyway, I love it. It's on Amazon Prime. So part of the research, so the writing update is that I'm continuing research on my new story idea, which is the 1920s fantasy heist. I actually talked to my agent this week. We had a call about next steps, now that everything is turned in for my previous deadlines. All of the Ursula Chronicles books are with the respective editors. The last novella is still with the proofreader for the print and ebook editions, but I did have to turn it into Audible. But I had read it over again, and there might have been a few errors here or there, but I figure it's being read aloud. So, but yeah, I wiped the deck virtually clean for Ursula Chronicles, and now I have been focusing on this new idea, but it's just like whatever weight that those deadlines hold is completely gone. And so, yeah, I've been researching. I've been head down every day working on this, still trying to tease out the idea. So I told my agent what I have so far, and she was really excited about it. And we were just strategizing about, ways to move forward. And I feel good about things. So the idea is that I finish the proposal by the end of the year. And so in January, the proposal will be ready to go. That's the plan, and I think I feel good about that. That was my goal anyway before I talked to her. I want to get a good, clean synopsis and the first few chapters done by the end of the year, and it's very doable. A secret goal is to get a whole fast draft done by the end of December, which should also be possible if it's just a fast draft, but I do think that I know that this is going to take a while to plot. Heist stories are intricate. I've never done one before, all of those reasons, so I'm on the right track, and I'm feeling good about it. In research news, I'm starting to feel like some of the research is procrastination, which is a big trap that you can fall into. Anything can become procrastination if you're doing it long enough. And I actually found myself sweeping up the cat litter one day when I was supposed to be writing. I'm not the type of person who usually does chores as a way to procrastinate. I know a lot of people are. I don't like cleaning, so I only do it when I have to. And I think I find other ways to procrastinate. But I actually was sweeping the floor. The cat litter does need to be scooped on a regular basis. So is it really procrastination if you are caring for your pets? but I was just sweeping up the excess on the floor. But yeah, anyway, the research, for a long time I was like, I don't like to research, but that's not actually true. I actually do like it. I feel like I don't know exactly what I'm doing in terms of the research. I'm just falling down rabbit holes. So my kind of research strategy is start with Google, start with Wikipedia, because those are the things that come up generally first. And then this is a tip that I saw Vanessa Riley talking about on some event that she did, because she writes historical romance. And she said, go to the footnotes, the bibliography of Wikipedia, and find the original articles. And I was kind of doing that already, but that just solidified that. So then I start Googling those original articles and see if I can find the sources for the Wikipedia, and which are more reliable than Wikipedia. And I got a JSTOR account, which gives you 100 articles for free. And JSTOR is just sort of a database of a lot of articles and periodicals, like academic journals and things like that. I was trying to see if my local library will give me JSTOR access, which it doesn't seem to, because sometimes there's the access that I have, and then there's like a deeper level of access that you get if you're associated with the university or something. And so then I went down this whole rabbit hole of, okay, does a Howard University Alumni Association give me access to JSTOR? And I think it might, but their website was kind of down, because Howard's website is not great. And like there were certain pages that would, the page that gave me the information that I was looking for was not loading. So I probably have to call someone and talk to them. And I don't want to call people and talk to them, but, and is that procrastination? I don't think that was, because I was like legitimately, there were specific things that I was looking for that I couldn't find. And then I went to like WorldCat, which is another database. And it's kind of like a library database. So it can tell you which libraries, I don't know if it's the country or the world. I guess it's the world, because it's called WorldCat. Which libraries have which periodicals and books and things. Long story short, I've just been learning how to research, essentially, because I feel like a larger burden of research for this project. And so, yeah, that's part of it. And then, of course, every time I'm looking at something, I'm getting information that sparks something else. Like I had been on the Library of Congress website looking at old newspapers, and there were some that they didn't have the scans of, that I really wanted to look at. Somehow I found a reference that I could get access to these particular newspapers on a genealogy website. So I signed up for the 7-day free trial for this genealogy website. And then I got the newspapers that I was looking for. And I found some great tidbits about these people, the real life people that I'm researching. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun learning about researching and learning all the information that I'm learning. Kind of what I was talking about last week. It's all sparking things. It's all inspiring me. And like one little detail that I learned, actually, there's a person who, I'd found, and it's going to be a character, base it on this real life person. And I found where they originally came from, like they had migrated during the Black migration to the north from the south, but I didn't know from where. And then I found that like on the genealogy website in this newspaper that I had been looking for. So yeah, it's things like that that are really fun. But I do know that it can turn into, okay, when am I actually going to write the story? Part of all of this research is I'm looking for the inspiration for the actual plot elements. I know the overarching thing, but I want to really ground it in these real life details. And I think the research is giving me that, like it has been, but it's, I have to figure out when I'm going to stop. Like I have to actually give myself a schedule and deadlines about, okay, when is the time to pull the trigger, just say, I have enough right now. I'm going to just do it. And part of it is that I am doing it side by side. Like, I get the research and then I'll take some time and just make some notes, brainstorm, see if I have the idea yet. And I just don't feel like I have it yet. Like there's a feeling that I'm looking for that I don't have. And that's something that I know I can't schedule either. Like I'm keeping an eye on the calendar, like, okay, I want to have this much done by the end of the year. So I will give myself the rest of October to come up with the plot and really get all of the details together. And then right now, maybe NaNoWriMo, I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to do NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month in November. where you write 50,000 words in a month. The actual act of writing the 50,000 words is not the problem. I have done it several times before, and it's been a couple of years since my writing schedule has lined up with November and allowed me to fast draft a book, which is essentially what it is, in this month. So it's seeming like things are working out, but it is all predicated upon me having the plot done by the end of October, which should be possible. For normal people, this is possible. I'm kind of slow, and especially with this, when I feel the pressure to do something intricate and fun with like secrets and twists and turns and all of those things you have to, I have to know. I wonder if people pants this type of book. I know that Agatha Christie pantsed all of her mysteries, which is amazing to me. At least I think I read that somewhere. So I guess some people do, but that is not how I work. So I think scheduling will be important as I go forward. I can't really tightly schedule something like this since there's not a hard deadline, and I am doing a lot of just the core creative work. And sometimes you can't put that on the schedule. Like I can say, I want to have the plot done by October 31st. I want to have, well, I don't know that 50,000 words will be enough for a full fast draft. So if I extend my NaNoWriMo into December, by December 15th, I have a fast draft. And then from there, I can refine the synopsis, clean up the first few chapters for like a book proposal. Like that's all the schedule I'm probably going to have. And I think that's a good thing, you know, like being so tightly scheduled as I am, like having these deadlines that I just kind of gotten on the other side of. It's not a good idea to do that all the time. I think you do need to have kind of breathing room and space, especially when you're not on a deadline. But I have been thinking about my ideal schedule, and it's something that it's actually sitting in front of me on my whiteboard to actually do, and I haven't done it. It's not a high priority. It's just one of those someday maybe kind of tasks that I know is important, but I haven't prioritized it. I was on Instagram, and Alexis Daria had a post about time tracking and creating the ideal schedule, which kind of brought it to the top of my mind again. And she is also a person who does Sarah Cannon's HB90 method, where you plan your quarter, and it's a great class. I recommended it a lot. And so I haven't planned this quarter because it's one of these, it's a loose quarter, and I just didn't feel the need to tightly plan. I don't plan every quarter. Like, it depends on how busy I think I'm going to be. But in Alexis's post, she was talking about actually timing her day and figuring out where she spends her time. And it was really illuminating, like doing the actual act of knowing how you spent your day. Because the way we think about how we spend our time is very different than how we actually spend it. So she said that she set a timer on her phone for every 30 minutes. And when the timer went off, she would record what she had done in those 30 minutes. And I think that's really smart. I think it's a good thing to do, and I might try that. Because as organized as I try to be, there's still many days where I look up and I'm like, what have I been doing for the past 2 hours? I have no idea. I will fall down a crazy rabbit hole and look up, and it's 3:00, and I still have 3 things to do on my to-do list. I'm good about timing my work for my clients because I charge by the hour in general, or I track by the hour in order to figure out how much I'm charging them. But when it's my own personal work, I don't time it enough. And so, yeah, that's a suggestion that she made that I think I will give a go maybe this week and try it out. Because, yeah, I think examining my process and how I actually allocate my time each day will help me when I am super busy again to just kind of hone those skills and make sure that I'm optimizing my time management, which is always important to me. Also, I watched Enola Holmes this week on Netflix, and it's the new movie with Millie Bobby Brown playing Sherlock Holmes' younger sister. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. But I did have a question, and I put it on Twitter, and it was so funny because so many other people had this question. So there's a young man that Enola Holmes meets who introduces himself as something like Viscount Tewsbury, Marquess of Braithwaite, or something like that. And it bothered me the whole movie. And other people were like, yes, this bothered me the whole movie too. Now, I admitted in my tweet that my only knowledge of the British peerage comes from romance novels, historical romance novels. So I could get some things wrong. And I've pieced together things over the years of reading them. Like, I finally actually had to look up the order of ranks because I thought Duke and Earl were the highest, but I think it goes Duke, Marquess, Earl, Viscount, Baronet. Those are the ranks. So when he was introducing himself as Viscount something, Marquess of something, I was like, well, wouldn't he just be a Marquess? Like, why is he bothering with the Viscount thing? And I put it on Twitter, and Courtney Milan had a great answer. And I was like, oh, yes, of course she would know, that they have lots of titles. But there was still something weird about how this movie was dealing with the titles, and everybody sort of agreed that this is not how we understand it to be. But yeah, that was just something that was bothering me. And it was very comforting to know that Romancelandia in general had a similar reaction. It's funny what you learn from books, and sometimes it's not helpful to learn all of your information from fiction books. Oftentimes it's not helpful. It's not actual, knowledge. It just was very amusing to me to be in simpatico with so many people for very similar reasons. Our featured podcast today is Tea and Trumpets, and here is a word from them.
Hi, I'm Zoe.
And I'm Kelsey.
And we're the hosts of Tea and Trumpets, a Regency romance review.
Join us each week as we take a trip across the pond and into the past in search of swoon-worthy happily ever afters.
We talk about all your Regency favorites like Julia Quinn's Bridgertons or Lisa Kleypas's Ravenels. Plus, we dive deep into exciting new releases from rising stars like Scarlett Peckham, Kat Sebastian, or Evie Dunmore.
We've got book reviews and fabulous interviews with best-selling authors in the genre like Kerrigan Byrne and Maya Rodale.
So check us out on your podcatcher of choice or learn more about us at romancepod.com.
See you on Thursdays, and may all your ever afters end happily.
So on the topic of scheduling and organization, in these times when it's not as busy, I sort of let my scheduling and time management system fall by the wayside a little bit. I just wanted to come clean about that. Not come clean, but just, I talk a lot about organizing and scheduling and but it's not like it's every day, all day. It's really a way to, when I'm feeling overwhelmed and I've got everything to do, that I make sure I get it done. When things are more relaxed, I have my planner and I do make notes on things, but it's way less filled out than it was a couple of weeks ago because I'm just more relaxed about everything. And it's I'll get it done when I get it done. And I'm keeping it in my head more because my head has more space for these things. Now, when things get busy again, I will probably be more religious about my planner. But there's seasons for everything. There's a time, and this is not the season for impeccable scheduling in the way that last month was. So yes, I'm trying to be gentle with myself, still work forward, still, working to make progress on things. I didn't really take much of a break in between projects, but I like what I'm doing now, and I'm really having a good time. So I don't feel like I needed a long break of not doing anything. That's not super helpful all the time. So the Pitch Wars submission period ended just a couple of days ago, and I'm a Pitch Wars mentor, co-mentor along with Denny S. Bryce. So we are a team, and we're going to be going in, looking at all our submissions, starting that process of finding our mentee. We had 125 submissions this year, and so basically we go in, look at them. We're meeting together this week to strategize and figure out, everything that we have to do in order to find our mentee. So I know that some of you out there listening are hopefuls, are submitters and hopeful mentees, and just know that the process has begun, and we are super excited about finding that person, finding that manuscript that we're going to help work with. And it's a little overwhelming, but I'm sure it will be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for more on that. So yes, my goals for the week are to continue my research and my plotting in tandem, working on the characters and the plot and the research all together in sort of a round robin, a little bit of a chaotic fashion, but I guess that's just my process. I'm owning it. And Work stuff is trucking right along. I've got some projects coming up, and I will probably need to go back to the planner a little bit more depending on how things go. Also, we're going to be taking a little trip this week. It's my wedding anniversary coming up this week, and it'll be 12 years. So we're going on a leaf watching trip to Skyline Drive, Virginia area, driving up and down. We're big leaf watchers. Generally, since our wedding was in the fall, we do a fall trip for our anniversary that is also a leaf watching trip to some part of the country. So where did we go last year? I've already forgotten. We went to Georgia. We've been to Maine and North Carolina and, fun. New Hampshire. We did the whole moose chasing thing in New Hampshire. It's on my Instagram. We were following a moose from a safe distance. But a lot of people were following this moose. Anyway, so that should be fun. And I will talk to you next week. And I hope that you have a wonderful week. For episode show notes and to sign up for the Footnotes newsletter, go to myimaginaryfriendsshow.com. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and check out the video episodes on YouTube. I would really appreciate a rating or review to help support the show. And My Imaginary Friends is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. For more fantastic podcasts, go to frolic.media/podcast.